This is the Biz Call. Thanks to our sponsor, OneDayDecisions.com, the fastest way to settle and to get paid without court, collections, or credit damage. That's OneDayDecisions.com.
Question 1. What is your name?
Hi, I'm AnthonyStanowski, the President and CEO of CAHME.
Let's go with question 2. What is the name of your business?
The business is CAHME, or the Commission on Accreditation of Healthcare Management Education.
Question 3. Describe your business in 1 or 2 or 3 sentences.
Well, I think really the business is all about making sure, or trying to ensure, that the future leaders of healthcare are well prepared to lead. And we do that primarily by accreditation.
Okay. Question 4. What is your revenue model? How do you make your money?
First of all, we're a nonprofit 501c3 company, and of course, as everyone knows, nonprofit is a tech status more than a way of doing business. But what our primary revenue model is that we charge program for accreditation services. But we also receive revenue from contributions from corporate members who help to support CAHME's mission.
So when you have customers or clients, do they have to pay you for your services?
That's correct. For accreditation, they pay for accreditation services.
And is that generally a fee or an hourly? How does that work?
It's an annual fee.
Okay, great. Question 5. Are you brick and mortar, online, or both?
We made the commitment prior to the pandemic to move totally virtual, and so we are fully a virtual company. We have no physical location at all.
Okay. Question 6, and this is my favorite. How did you decide to get into this business?
Well, thanks. Well, first, CAHME started in 1968 when we were formed by 4 organizations: the American Hospital Association, the American College of Healthcare Executives, which arguably is the largest professional association of healthcare executives in the world, the American Society for Public Health, and the Association of University Programs in Health Administration. And those 4 organizations got together back in '68 to work to make sure that the students graduating from the great graduate programs in the United States and Canada were well prepared to lead. Now, my interaction with CAHME began initially as a board member when I had served when I was with Aramark, and we had funded some of CAHME, and we're provide some of the funding, and they asked me to sit on the board. And I made a big mistake as a board member, Rob. I asked too many questions, and when you ask too many questions and you're a board member, I was elected chair-elect of the board. And during that time, the president of the company at that time said she was going to retire. And I was left at that point of going, geez, it's time to recruit for a new CEO. Talked to another board member, and he knew where my passion was and said to me, why don't I look at it? And kind of thought back on it at the time, and I was an executive at a Fortune 500 company, and thought going to $1 million nonprofit really was not where I wanted to spend the last part of my career. But his comment to me was important. He said, Anthony, it's not about how much money you make. It's are you helping people, and are you doing something that you really value? Talked it over with my wife. Made the jump about 5.5 years ago, and have to say I haven't been happier.
Hey, that's a great story. Question 7 is going to be interesting, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Why would customers choose you over your competition? And I'm not really sure that there is competition, but maybe you can spin off that.
No, Rob, that's a good question, and it's a fair observation. And coming from the for-profit world and the corporate world, you always kind of giggled when people said, "Oh, we don't have any competition." You always have competition, even if that competition is no decision. And I think from the CAHME perspective, there are no other accreditors who accredit graduate programs in healthcare management. And so basically there is no competition for us. But what programs do is they opt to either not be accredited or to retain and use their accreditation from other accreditors like the American Association, or AACSB, which is the Association for the Advancement of Colleges and Schools of Business, or from CEAP, which is the Commission on Accreditation of Public Health Organization, kind of say, well, we're really accredited in those areas. But as a specialized accreditor, we're the only game in town.
Good. Question 8. What's the exit strategy or the long-term goal of the business?
Well, hopefully there's no exit strategy for CAHME. I think, our long-term goal is to continue to grow. I think we're doing that by 2 ways. One of them is creating additional service lines. So we've created an accreditation process for healthcare quality and safety programs. And then we're also in the middle of expanding globally. And we have begun the process of accrediting programs around the world.
Kind of just as an observation, I imagine that growth to you probably also includes a fair amount of adaptation and evolution as this sector just kind of grows itself, no?
Absolutely. And, you kind of have to look at how education is changing. Several years ago, online programs were looked at as inferior programs to traditional face-to-face education. And I think the pandemic has changed that perspective significantly. So CAHME's adaptation in there we were at the front of the game when we were doing it. We had begun a process of accrediting online programs, but that's really kind of kicked in a major way the past couple of years.
Okay, question 9. As you grow, what are you doing to increase your business?
So I think we have to look at, what's the marketing strategy, if you would, to do that. And what we've done is, again, as a small $1 million nonprofit, we don't have a lot of money to really market our services around the globe. We can't afford to buy advertisements around the world. So what we've done is we've worked on a shoestring. We've created a social media strategy, which enables our message to get heard around the world. And then in addition to that, we've created relationships with organizations such as the International Hospital Federation, the European Health Management Association, and other global organizations to really kind of work with them in partnership and become well known for what we're trying to accomplish, credit programs worldwide. Okay,
so question 10, that being said, how do you measure your marketing success?
Well, I think it's a very simple, straightforward part. I mean, overall is what's our bottom line and is our revenue growing? I mean, that's, ultimately the end goal. But if you kind of look at it within there, we have, in the communications areas, we have measures that we review, everything from the growth of members who are in our LinkedIn group to what are the number of views that we receive on Facebook, what are the number of people who like us or follow us on Twitter. So we have sub-goals within there, but ultimately, are we increasing our revenue? Are we increasing our programs?
Does someone owe you money?
Do you owe someone money? Nobody wins in court. And everyone hates collections. You lose time and money for missing work. Be smart. Go online.
Get the matter settled now at onedaydecisions.com.
You fill out a form, they fill out a form.
One Day Decisions does the rest. The matter gets settled fast, and you're done. No court.
No collections.
No lawyers. No credit damage.
No legal bills.
No staring down the other guy in court.
You can get started for free, and you can pay what you owe on a credit card. They get their money, you get on with your life.
And it's over. Done. Anywhere in the country.
This isn't mediation.
This isn't arbitration.
This isn't court. This is getting it settled so you both can move on with your lives.
Get it done. Get it over with.
In as little as one day.
One-day decisions, the fastest way to settle without court, collections, or credit damage.
Okay, question 11. It can be yes or no. Are you profitable?
Yes or no isn't a well-deserving question here. I think prior to me taking this role, CAHME lost money for 6 out of 7 years. And since I've started in this role, we have been profitable every year since then. It's been a real exciting process of making that happen. And I think how we've done it is interesting. It was looking at our expenses and going, are there any expenses out there that do not generate revenue, such as real estate? And by that I mean office rent. And if they don't generate revenue, off they go. And I think in that very careful approach of managing our expenses and growing our bottom line, that's how we've become successful.
That's a great story. I hope people are listening.
Yeah.
Question 12. You got to be brutal, but it's got to work. Question 12. How many employees do you have?
So we're a $1 million company. So for a $1 million company, how many employees can you have? And if you think about that, so what we've done is we created a process the past couple of years to say we can't afford full-time employees who are very skilled in finance and information technology and human resources and the like. So we've taken an approach where we found people who wanted to work part-time and were formally not really attractive to large organizations that wanted to hire full-time people who wanted to come on site. And primarily among them are young mothers, mothers with small children who were incredibly very skilled and gifted individuals who just were not, people said, we didn't want to hire you, for 5 or 10 hours a week. And I've basically taken that approach, and it has been incredibly successful. And the level of talent that we were able to recruit from that has been phenomenal. So we have 11 employees, and the ability that they bring to us is phenomenal. Now, from a management perspective, what we do is, part of what we give on something like that is they work whatever hours they want to work. And I have some of those people who would like to work 5:30 to 7:30 every morning. I have others that prefer to work the later shift, 9:30 to 11 o'clock at night. But being accommodating for them, being used to seeing their children pop up on some Zoom videos, all of that is kind of the fun part of the job, but has been really kind of beneficial to CAHME and frankly has enabled us to do as well as we have.
That is an incredible insight. I don't know that anybody else I've talked to has essentially taken a tight-fitting marketing approach to recruitment of talent in that way, and it sounds like it's worked great for you. It sounds like it's a perfect fit.
It has. And I think, for a small organization that doesn't have a lot of money, it was the only way we needed to go.
Again, I hope you guys out there are listening. This is good stuff. Okay. Questions 13 and 14, two sides of the same coin. Question 13, what has been the best decision you've made so far?
And absolutely the best decision we made has been that employment model. I think when we went that way and were able to bring people on, that was absolutely the best decision we ever made. Yeah,
it sounds like it. Question 14. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, then you're going to the worst decision we ever made, and right. With question 14. And I think, when it comes to that question, the wonderful part about CAHME as a nonprofit organization is we have a board of directors that I report to. And with the board of directors, I have something that I call the wisdom of the board. And they are my chief advisors. And I have some really kind of power players on our board, including the CEOs of several organizations like the Baldrige Foundation, the National Association of Healthcare Quality, or senior executives with some of the largest health systems in the country are on there as well as some true innovators like Quinn Studer down in Pensacola, Florida, and some other folks as well. So, you know, when you kind of run your decisions through that group, and they provide an incredible amount of insight to you. So it helps to make sure that you don't make really critically bad decisions.
Okay, but you still haven't told me what the worst decision you've made is.
Well, you know, I have to say at CAHME, I don't know whether it's lucky or unlucky, but I don't really think we've made really any bad decisions so far. If you were to ask me in my career what was some of the worst decisions that I made, I can give you a laundry list of those. But,
listen, between you and me, we'd have an hour-long call, I'm sure.
Easel.
No shortage of those. Well, you know what? Actually, let me slip in an extra question that I think people would really want to know, and that is how are people selected for your board, for this team of advisors? How do you select those?
Oh, that's a great question. So one group of people are from what's called our corporate members. And these are people who invest in CAHME every year. They have a corporate member fee that they pay to us that is not insignificant. And when you're a corporate member, you have the right to submit someone to sit on our board. Now, those people are vetted by what's called our governance committee, but for the most part, those people who are offered to sit on our board are accepted. And then we also have public members that are not related at all to the corporate members. And those are the people that we've been very careful and thoughtful about what are the organizations that we need to go to round out our talent. And, you know, as an example, the current corporate members, the current public members on our board include Dr. David Nash, who was the founding dean of Thomas Jefferson University School of Public Health. And David he's also an internist. And we really kind of thought, given where we are with COVID right now, we really could use a doctor on our board. And we also could use an expert in healthcare quality and safety in public health. So we selected David. We also asked the president of the Baldrige Foundation, who is all involved in quality improvement, Al Faber. We asked Al to sit on our board as well as a public member. So we select our public members by looking out in the environment and saying, what are the resources and what are the talents that we're looking for. And we also have, as another public member, a gentleman who used to be the chief growth officer at Aramark. He's now retired. He sits on as a public member. We've had other public members in the past who were experts in marketing and business development, such as the former executive director of the Pennsylvania Ballet, now the executive director of the Nevada Ballet, a former executive who was involved in another former executive who was involved in fundraising and business development. So it's a very careful look of the types of talents and skills that you're looking for to get people to sit on our board.
Cool. Okay. So question 15 is sort of a free ball kind of a thing. Is there anything we haven't talked about that you would like to add that you would like our listeners to hear?
Well, I think the most important thing that I would say to any listeners out there is if you're choosing to go for higher education, if you're choosing to look at specialized graduate programs, is to pick a program that's accredited. Now, I know, you might, a small percentage of your listeners might be healthcare management folks that might be thinking about that. But even if you're not, if you're thinking about business school or engineering or any of the other types of specialties, pick an accredited program. Number one, it helps to ensure when you're in an accredited program that you're going through a fairly robust review of your program by your peers and outside experts. And number two, it's a program that says, hey, we're interested in quality improvement. And accredited programs do that. Sometimes you'll find programs that aren't accredited that come from some big name schools, and they're just going to go, we don't need to be accredited. We're X, Y, and Z university. And I always kind of look at that and go, well, aren't you wonderful? You don't need any input by your program. And that, to me, is a little scary and is a little bit of a red flag. So look for an accredited program. Look for a program that's involved in quality improvement. So that's my addition to that.
Good. Okay, great. So one last time, I want you to slowly and clearly give me the name of the business, the URL for the information, and any other details.
Okay, so the business is called CAHME, or the Commission on Accreditation of Healthcare Management Education. The website is www.CAHME, or CAHME.org.
If you'd like to plug your business on the BizCall podcast, simply visit thebizcall.com and fill out the form. If you become a guest, you'll receive a free lifetime membership to the BizCall discussion and networking list. If you're too shy, you can still join the BizCall list at thebizcall.com.